What's going on, guys? Alex over with 814 EDC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on the Bestechman Knives Flick. Now, the Flick is, of course, in via the Lefty passaround group, and honestly, it is in via. If I'm being honest, there's a few packages in right now that I am blurring the knives all together with. So I'm honestly not sure which knives are part of this specific package, but just know it's in via the Lefty passaround group. If you guys have caught any videos over the last week and a half, 2 weeks, you would have seen that I got slammed with like 13 knives from the passaround group. So I am slowly but surely getting through them. But today we're going to be talking about the Flick. Now the Flick is, I want to say, the third or fourth knife I've handled from Bestechman. And obviously there is a logo right there. They are the budget brand of Bestech. And this specific knife is an Ostapel design, which I am a really big fan of Ostapel. There is some stuff out there that I want to still check out by him, but I feel like I've checked out a few of his models, and even the ones I have not checked out, I still really like his design language. He kind of reminds me of Ray Laconico a little bit, just because he creates really simple, very simplistic but very usable designs, and that is what I think the Flick just embodies very well. I really like Bestechman's fit and finish. Obviously, they are Bestech's budget brand, like I just said. So fit and finish is going to be great. Build quality is great. Action is always on point, and I really enjoyed this knife. This was surprisingly a top knife out of the like I said, 12 or 13 that I got. And I think this is fantastic. The only thing holding me back from it is that it's in D2 blade steel. I don't have a gripe with D2 that much, but I just much prefer, 14C. And I think that if it was in 14C, it would be such, a home run. However, even in D2, excuse me, I'm still kind of throwing around the idea of picking one of these up just because I really like it. It's a fun little flicker, to fidget with, and it's a great, ergonomic knife, which we'll touch on in a minute. Great carry knife, which we'll obviously touch on too. But it's really cool, and I quite enjoyed it. So I guess we'll jump into materials. I already gave you a few of them as it was. You guys can see that this is rocking kind of like Brittany blue, baby blue scales, which is nice. They're just G10 scales, but they have a really nice texture to them. You have the Bestech logo there on the pivot. This is a flipper only knife. You have nested liners, which is nice. Nested liners always make a budget knife feel more premium. I love when designers and companies do that. So that's a really nice touch. You have a loop over style deep carry reversible pocket clip, which is nice. And it also has a recessed area to have it down into the scales with flat top screws, which is really nice. Again, flipper tab. You have a very just long and kind of pointy drop point of D2. Thin blade stock, thin behind the edge, nice PVD. Yes, PVD coated on obviously all the hardware. Then you have a liner lock with plenty of lock bar access, plenty of internal milling on both sides. And yeah, that's pretty much it for materials. Again, nothing crazy. This is a sub $50 knife, so I mean, I feel like for that you're getting a nice bang for your buck there. Now I will leave a link in the description down below to Bestechman's website if you guys are interested in checking it out. Some quick specs. So we have a blade length of 3.49, so pretty much 3.5 inches. We have a handle length or a blade length, a handle length or a close length of 4.46, which gives it an overall length from tip to butt of 7.95. And it comes in weighing under 3 ounces at 2.87. So the fact that you have a 3.5 inch blade and it weighs, 2.87 ounces is a great ratio. I love how, you guys know I like to talk about that sometimes. I love how, when knives with longer blades weigh like nothing, which is great. And again, there's nested liners. Just make this knife feel a little bit more premium than, what the price tag says it is. Now, as far as variations, there should be a color for everybody. So I'll go through them real quick. So obviously we have this blue one here with the blacked out blade. We have a fully blacked out, so blacked out blade, blacked out G10. We have a stonewash blade with a teal G10. We have stonewash with purple, stonewash with black, PVD with a brown G10, PVD with a jade G10, and then stonewash with like a tan. If I was gonna go pick one out, I honestly like the blue. I'm not a huge like pop of color guy. You guys know I like, I like the greens and the browns and the micartas and the titaniums. I do like the blue quite a bit, so I'd either go with that one, or I'd probably get the brown and the PVD or the stonewash and the tan. If I was gonna snag one myself. But again, those will be linked in the description down below if you guys are interested in checking them out. And before we move on, give you guys some quick size comparisons here with the TRM Neutron 2 and the Spyderco Para 3. As you can see, definitely bigger than both of these knives. I mean, you have more blade length and more handle length. If we put to the tips here, you guys can see, you have quite a bit of handle length sticking out of the back there. So, as always, I'd just like to show you guys, a nice size comparison, because most of you out there have handled or have a TRM Neutron 2 or a Spyderco Para 3. But next, we're going to move on to action. The flipper tab is nicely jimped right there. I love a good push button. You guys know that is my, preferred flipper method. You just land right on top of the flipper, build pressure, and it flies right out. I just find that to be more enjoyable than to land like in front of the flipper and just pull back like a light switch. I mean, it works obviously pretty well too, I must say. As far as light switch, methods go, this is probably one of the better ones. But again, that push button just is so, reliable, so snappy. The detent is, I would say, pretty solid for this one. You can get it to fail, but I mean, you really have to like barely put any pressure to flop that thing out. I mean, if you pull it out of your pocket and you flick it, it's going to be reliable every single time. Obviously, you can do it lefty as well. So it's really nice. Really like the flipper and the way the flipper feels on this. Then of course with the action, no blade play, really, really nice, locked up nice and tight. Then you get that nice inset liner lock there. Drops to your thumb, bang, one shake. Drops to your thumb, some micro shakes and you're home. Really fun to fidget with. And for it being kind of a thin blade that doesn't have a ton of like weight behind it, the drop to your thumb is pretty nice. It's a free dropper for sure. This is on bearings, which is really, really nice. And I have fidgeted with this thing a ton. I think I am the second person to get this. Kevin sends stuff now to Casey over at Knives Fast, and then he has been breaking everything up into groups for us. So I think I'm after Kevin, then Casey, then me. But like I said, I've fidgeted with this thing a ton so far. I've carried it quite a bit. And I think the action is, I'm not the biggest flipper only guy. I much prefer to have flipper tabs with either thumb studs, folders, holes, front flippers, whatever it may be. But this, I must admit, this is one of the better flipper only actions I've felt in a while. And that's crazy because this is, like I said, a sub $50 knife. But the action is great on the Flick. Moving on next to the Ergos. Very, very comfortable knife. I mean, just looking at it, you can pretty much tell. And I say that a lot, but like you can just tell. Like you just know when a knife is going to be comfortable in hand. The G10 is really nicely done. It has just a little bit of texture, nothing crazy, but it's just enough to like give you that subtle edge in the grip. You have some interesting jimping. You have some jimping here, and then you have a little bit of a gap and then more jimping. So, I can get all 4 fingers on this knife very, very easily. Your thumb can either land here on this first jimping, or for me personally, I like to land kind of honestly in between or out here on this jimping even more. Or you can land out here even farther for, push cuts, giving you that extra grip and that extra through cardboard, whatever it may be cutting. The pocket clip is, a little bit pointy down here, but that's just the way clips are. I will say, I wish there was a little bit more clearance at the bottom here. I think that it could be an issue for like thicker lipped jeans. However, I did carry this in gym shorts and my bird dogs are khakis, so I didn't have the issue of jeans yet. But I think that could be a slight issue if you had thicker, edging on your pockets. It might be a little bit of an issue, but which I guess that's a carry department. We're talking about Ergos. But yeah, Ergos are great for the pocket clip. It's nice and flat and just fits into the crevice of your knuckles really nicely. If you have small fingers, you could kind of use this flipper choil as a choke up point. I could probably get away with it. Whoops, I poked my phone. I could probably get away with it if I was being very, very careful, but I wouldn't recommend it. You get that nice natural restriction point there with the flipper tab, so I would, definitely just utilize that. Pinch grip works really well. You get a pretty pointy tips, which is nice for cutting around things or cutting through, Amazon packages, things of that nature. So all in all, the ergos are really good. Very, very comfortable knife. And that kind of goes off my point earlier of the knives that I have handled from Ostapel, plus the knives that I have, had on my radar and wanted to check out from him. The knives I've had from him have been very, very comfortable, and the knives that I want to check out from him also look very comfortable. So he definitely knows what he's doing from an ergo department or an ergo standpoint. But next up is carry. Let me grab my Hank here. But I mean, you guys can tell this thing is going to carry super deep in the pocket. Just got to get past that clip, like I said. Even my Mighty Hanks here, the edge of the Hank is a little bit cumbersome to get in. Just drag it in there, and it is a little bit tight. But as you can see, once you get the knife in pocket, I mean, it's super deep, pretty much disappears in the pocket, which is awesome. Really, really like that. Very, very lightweight. I mean, sub 3 ounces, which is awesome. Of course, you do have the flipper tab, but I didn't have any issues with it. And again, there is a little bit of jimping, but it's nothing crazy. So, more times than not, you're just going to bounce right off of it if you're down getting change, chapstick, things like that in your pocket. It's reversible, which is nice. And yeah, I mean, nothing really to talk too much about. It's a good carry knife. It's thin. I mean, the blade pretty much disappears in the handles, which is really cool. And yeah, so nothing really, mind-blowing, but it's just a really good carry, lightweight knife. And that leads me to my final category, I like to talk about, which is price point and would I recommend this knife. So the price point on the Bestechman Flick is $44.90. So $45 for this. That's a good price. I know I talked earlier about how, D2 is, kind of, I wish this was in 14C, which I believe they do. I can't find it on the website. I thought there was different, like you could do filters and stuff. I thought that they do some knives in 14C, so I think that this would have been a great model for it. However, I think D2 is fine for $45, for a budget knife, but it has just really great action. I mean, one of the better, $45 actions I've felt in some time. I've been very impressed with that. I'm really overall happy with the ergos, with the carryability, and just with this knife in general. Like I said, it's not too often, a budget knife comes in here and, just makes me think like, oh, I'm going to maybe go buy that because it has been on my mind. I would like to get more into some of Ostap's designs. There's a crossbar lock model from him from Real Steel that I wanted to, I was like hung up on it like months ago. And I honestly forgot about it until I looked up Ostapel's designs because I knew that there was some out there that I couldn't remember, and that one popped up. I think it's called the Parix. It looks really good. There's like a titanium version, a couple micarta versions, and a couple of G10 versions. So maybe that I'll check out because I have been wanting to check that one out for some time. There's just knives you forget about, and that was one of them. So maybe I'll check that one out. I think that one has Nitro V steel, which is really cool. But this is definitely a budget banger that I would love to have in the collection. Just a great design overall, and again, fit and finish is great, ergos are great, just a fantastic knife. I was very, very impressed with this, and I would hopefully get to check out some more stuff in the future from Bestechman. Again, some of the stuff that I have gotten to check out I've been very, very happy with, and yeah, I'm pretty impressed with them. So but yeah, guys, leave a comment down below if any of you guys picked up the Flick for your collection, and if you have any other of Ostap's designs, let me know. I always love to hear what you guys have to say. But I'm gonna wrap this up now. So thank you guys again so much for watching. I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you guys. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your morning, evening, night, day, whenever you guys are watching this, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.